Hey guys, how you doing this morning? All right, so our carving bowl project is pretty much all done. We got 3 coats of linseed oil on the inside. Yesterday we got everything sanded and our first coat on the outside. Today, what we're gonna do is a sanded in coat. And if you don't know what that is, there is lots of footage of it. Most all of your gunsmithing videos are going to show you what a sanded in coat is, just because that is the traditional way of doing gun stocks. So we did this with 150 grit sandpaper to get our marks in that down. And it's going to seem like quite a jump, but this is on my carving projects. This is just how I do things anyway. Not saying it's the right way, not even going to say it's the way, it's just my way. But I go from 150 grit and I virtually double it. This is 320 grit sandpaper. And we're going to build a slurry out of boiled linseed oil and the fine sawdust and hardened boiled linseed oil that we have already put on here. And that slurry is going to fill little pores. It's going to fill little tiny holes. It is not going to mess with the texture of a hand-carved project, but it is just going to give it that $1 million feel is what I call it. If you get your hands on a really well taken care of, like a pre-64 Winchester deluxe model, or some of the really high-end Remington 700s that had the boiled linseed oil hand rub finish in them, it is just a completely different feeling firearm on the stocks. So I'm gonna try to do something a little different here, because with this video stuff, not today obviously, but we're gonna try to get you guys right up on a close-up when I start doing my next spoon. But so we're just gonna put a pretty good vigorous amount of linseed oil in there, and the biggest thing I tell you people, do not put it back in here. Like, this is one of my chip cans. This is just old chips, and you can see where I've poured some linseed oil down in here. When I'm done with a project, or I think this has got all the linseed oil in there it's going to hold, I will finish by putting just some scrap paraffin wax in here to fill this up. And this will be a camp fuel cooker for me. All right, so we got our linseed oil down in there. It's nice and gooped up amount. And I really don't spend a lot of time doing this on the inside of these bowls, just because these are mostly made for jewelry or change, so the inside finish doesn't have to be as immaculate, but I do want to get just a good scuff, and you'll get, I'm not going to say it'll get like a mud, but it'll get where it's giving you a little bit of resistance. And that's kind of what you want. You just want that viscosity level to jump up a little bit. And it's just it'll make the sawdust and the already dried linseed oil will make kind of like a cement slurry almost. And like I said, it is amazing how different something feels after it's got a hand sanded boiled linseed oil finish on it. And it is quite time consuming. I mean, this has been quite a few days already. I think me working on it, obviously, yeah, I try to shorten the videos of just 20 or 30-minute clips of what's actually happened here. But yeah, if you look, the linseed oil has kind of lost its shine from where it's getting sawdust and everything in there. But that is gonna really change the just sheer, I don't know, smoothness and warmth of the wood here. And this is probably the first project I have ever done that I've got to work with American chestnut. And as a woodworker, I'm really excited. It's I can't wait to get it done. I can't wait to see, you know, what the if the missus is gonna let me put this up for sale, or if it's something that she's gonna keep, or what yet. I don't really carve pieces with a specific intent in mind usually. For me, it's more of a get out in my shop and get out of my head thing. But so that's all it is. Just taking that linseed oil that's got the sawdust and that in it, and we're just gonna keep sanding that in. Like I said, this is 320 grit, and it does come down to preference. If you don't think that the 320 is smooth enough of a finish when you're done, jump up again, probably 400 on a hardwood like chestnut or something like that, and a linseed oil finish. If you're building up enough layers, you could probably go up to 1,000 grit on your sanded in finish. But in reality, much more than 600, it's really hard to tell the difference in feel. And you have to also remember that, yes, this is really uneven right now, but where this is an oil and not a poly that hardens really fast, this is something that we can wipe off. So you want to make sure you've got more than enough on here that if it starts to get really dry and really tacky, you don't have enough. You want it to stay kind of oily. When I do, and we'll see how it feels. I will probably do a 400 grit after this sanded in finish, and then I will start doing just what we call a rub in at that point. You're just literally just using your hand in one little drop of oil at a time, and pushing that down into the pores really good. And that, hopefully that'll be our next video. I don't think I got to show all the different grits, but we'll see. I'm getting around to doing some videos that are just more going to show the actual carving process and not me jabbering so much. I got a few of these videos posted up on YouTube already, and I'm just all over into this tech stuff now. I got a TikTok account, a YouTube account. I got videos posted on all of them. Next thing you know, I'm gonna have an Instagram. No, I think running 3 of these is going to be plenty for me. But, all right. So, this is about, like I said, this is about the extent of it. You just keep working that in. And, like I said, it doesn't necessarily look the most appealing when you are sanding that finish in. Your hands get all sticky. But you do want to make sure you keep enough oil that everything stays slippery. You don't want it to start getting super tacky, just because it will not leave a nice feel. So I think I had more than enough oil, seeing how my hands are having a pretty difficult time with it. And I get this all wiped off and it dries. I'll get this, I'll get my brand put in the bottom of this, maybe later today after the finish has some time to dry. I like to do that right before I do the last few steps. I don't like to do it when I'm still actually like sanding the piece in between coats, because it kind of ruins the way my wood burnt brand looks. And I do brand my pieces. Makes me, I don't know, it's not so much that I think that I'm like overly abundantly cocky about the stuff I make. It's just when I'm when I'm dead and gone, maybe somebody will end up with a piece of furniture or project that I've made, and if it's got my brand on it, they can research it, like, oh, you know, who's this guy? And well, that's enough of my jabbering. I hope you guys are having a great day. And again, I hope my projects are helping y'all out, because they do really help me out. They get me back out in my shop, and they get me working on stuff, whether it's a big project or a small project. You know, I've been putting off building this workbench now for almost a year and a half, and took just a couple of my buddies say, hey, you should make some videos on that stuff, that got me up and driven to get this bench done, and getting my carving tools back out and getting stuff sharpened and working on my skills again. So like I said, if the news, if politics, if family issues, if that stuff's getting you down, put a tool in your hand. Shut this digital shit off and get back into the real world of things. Whether you can afford a big carving kit or not. I just dropped screws everywhere. I ordered this off from Amazon just to try it out. It's literally just a little Stanley carving set. Do I think this is as good as Beavercraft? No. Did the tools come good and sharp? No. But this was like 20 bucks. And if you've already got some sharpening stones at home and a good strop, they will work for doing some basic carving. I would stick with your softer carving material like basswood or birch or poplar, but they work. It doesn't take a lot of money to get into carving. It can take up a lot of money to get into carving, but it doesn't take a lot to get started. And it is a great way to just get out of your head, get back into your hands, and feel better. All right, y'all have a great day. Talk to you later.